Hey, thanks for joining me today. If you watch my prior video on making a mixer, then you'll want to watch this video because I made some changes. Please like and subscribe and share my videos, and we'll get with you in just a second. Okay, as you can see, I took the two valves off over here. They were the GF brand valves, and I wasn't completely satisfied with them. If you watch my first video of the flow it had when it was wide open, so I kept searching and searching for valves, different brands. I wasn't happy with the Pentair valves for my main water and SH because they just didn't flow enough. And although the old GF valves that I sold to a guy at a good price to build his own manifold, they had some restriction in it when it was wide open. And so, wouldn't you know it, after I built this, like 3 days later, I happened upon an image on, I was just looking at images on flow control valves, and this one came up, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty awesome valve. And I couldn't quite read the factory specs on it, but you can see through this valve when it's wide open. I hope you can see that. So the GF valves, when they were wide open, you couldn't see through them. And in fact, if you blew on a GF valve wide open, it felt like there was about 30% restriction. This one feels like there's less than 2 or 3% restriction. There's just virtually no restriction. So I'm really happy. I wasn't sure how these valves were going to work out. I just bought them blindly. And so I decided if these were good, ended up being good. Now the build quality is just as good or possibly a little bit better than the GF valve. Let me tell you what one of the things I didn't like about the GF valve is the handle would come off. So if you just popped it a little bit, the handle would come off. I think this one comes off the same way, but it is very tight. So it's not. I'm not going to lose it. It has a couple of mounts down here, and I don't know if you're supposed to use self threading bolts, or if that's made to take like a 5/16 or a quarter, looks like a 1/4 inch bolt and tap its own threads, or it just didn't have the inserts in it for that. So that's one thing I don't know about. The other thing is it's got the increments here on this indicator, instead of in degrees of opening, it has a percentage of opening. So it starts with 0 and there's 10 clicks all the way to 100. So the theory would be is if I'm on 5, this valve is running at 50% capacity as far as volume goes. The problem is, along with the GF valve, is this valve doesn't start opening till about 20%, because there's a point where your ball valve closes and then it goes ahead and turns a little farther and basically seats into the center of that seal. And during that motion of about 20%, the valve is off through that whole swing. So your valve really isn't 0 on this valve and the GF valve until it's about 20% open. So from there you can adjust. So that's about 4 clicks. So we got 8 clicks. So if we go 4 off of this end or from the number 2 spot, then that's going to be 50%. And when you blow through it, you can tell that that's correct. So you guys with the GF valves, knowing that you can't use the 50% or the 90-degree setting on the GF valve and know that it's flowing at 50%, because it's going to flow less than 50%. So if you're trying to run 6%, and you're halfway on your valve, you're not going to be running 6. You're probably going to be running more like 4. So then you have to compensate. I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. These valves don't even think about opening till about 20%. So what I would do if I was one of these manufacturers, and they've got to know that, is just start over here about the 2 spot and divide the remaining up in your percentage, and then just have a wider off area over here. Then that way nobody's confused. Okay, so the check valves do not have a spring in them. Of course, all check valves are directional, so there's an arrow here. In fact, so is this flow control ball valve. It has an arrow here, and the way it's configured, it has to go this way. There's no check valve in here, but I can see why they want it. Once you get a valve like this, you'll see why they want it to move in one direction. Here's a check valve, Asahi check valve, and these are about $36. These valves are about $128, $130, and then plus shipping. So they're similar in price to the GF valve as far as the valves go, but it's quite a bit more than the cheaper check valves. I'm trying to even find one here. So this is a check valve here. That's 3/8, but here's a 1/2 inch check valve. When you blow on this check valve, there's quite a bit of restriction. I'd say 20% restriction blowing through the $8, $10 check valves. So I decided, since I'm going for more flow, I would try this brand of check valve. And when you blow through it, you can't feel any restriction. It's just built so well. So the air goes out and around this ball on the input side of the check valve. Right here is a Viton seat, and all this is replaceable, and you could field replace this in no time. But this valve is made to work level this way. It can tilt up a tiny bit because that ball doesn't have a spring behind it. The farther you tilt it up, the more pressure it takes to push that ball up. But it's configured in such a way, when it's about level, the ball rolls down to the hole, and so it takes very little air pressure to close that off. And then of course the ultimate way would be to mount them up, so just gravity will close that ball. And my system's going to be on the vehicle like this, and so the check valves will be in a vertical position, so that'll be optimum for me. So next thing I'm going to do is we're going to mount this business on the manifold, so I'll be 2 and done on the manifold. Alright, so I'm going to dope these threads. Remember, just dope the male. Alright. So it's kind of a puzzle getting all this stuff together in the right sequence. Okay. We don't want to put it too tight, especially since we have a union. We can loosen the union up a little bit and tighten this adapter up if it's leaking. So the next thing we're going to do, let's see this, I'm going to mock this up. Okay, so this one here is just the valve itself. Alright, Make sure everything clears. Okay, so this one takes a check valve, and this is going to take a no, this one takes a check valve, and this one takes a valve. Get this thing looking pristine. Oh yeah. Looks pretty good. It's going to go in and mount on my trailer just like this. So I'm happy with that now. So if you like this video and my other videos, please like and subscribe and share my videos among your friends on social media. And whenever you subscribe, click that top bell and you'll get all my notifications of my new videos. And thanks for joining me on this build, and I hope this is the last time I do this. The next time you'll see it should be hooked up on my trailer and pumping water.